All right. The special meeting of the Cupertino Economic Development Committee for Friday, March 27th, 2026 is now called to order at 2:05 p.m. I believe the chair is absent today, so I will be presiding over this meeting. Will the staff liaison please call the roll?
Committee member Asawa. Here. Committee member Bono.
Here.
Committee member Carter.
Here.
Committee member Donkey.
Here.
Committee member Solstrom. Here. Council member Wong.
Here.
Committee member Yip is absent. Vice Chair King.
Here.
Chair Lynn is absent. All present with committee member Yip absent and Chair Lynn absent.
Great. Let the record show that a quorum is present. Are there any postponements of items on today's agenda?
We have no postponements.
Okay, so hearing none, we will proceed with the agenda as published. Oral communication. So this is the time for members of the public to address the committee on matters that are not on today's agenda. For items that are on the agenda, you will have an opportunity to speak when that specific item is called. I believe speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Staff, do we have any speakers?
We have no speakers, Vice Chair.
Great. Let's go ahead and move on then to new business. Item number 1 is the business license amnesty program outreach to shopping centers. I'll open the floor for the committee and staff discussion on our outreach to local shopping center businesses to raise awareness for this program.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Staff Liaison, Daniel Dudu, Economic Development Manager. I have with me this afternoon our Acting Administrative Services Director, Jonathan Orozco, who's going to assist with giving a presentation, including myself, on the background of this initiative, as well as our efforts as well as the outreach program. So let me go ahead and load the presentation, so that way everyone can see it, and then Jonathan will kick off the presentation by going through background information. There it is. There's a little bit of a delay, but Jonathan, would you like to begin while this continues to load?
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan. I am the Acting Admin Services Director. I'll provide some background and a brief overview of the program before turning it over to Daniel, who will provide some of the outreach efforts that will be conducted by the committee. So on February 13th, the City Council voted to approve an amnesty program for businesses. This amnesty program is focusing 2 types of businesses. One business that has never submitted an application for a license, and 2, a business that has had a license in the past but has fallen out of compliance. So with that said, what is the objective of the program? Well, one, it's to recover lost revenue, right? And so the longer a business goes without being in compliance, the city is losing out on that money, both in terms of immediate use and possible interest generation. Additionally, it also helps support with business data, how those analytics could be used for the betterment of the city as far as outreach and whatnot. And lastly, to promote compliance. And so during this phase, we'll go into the program phases. The businesses will have an opportunity to, the intention is to have them come into compliance sooner and remain in compliance. As of right now, based off of HDL, who is the city's administrator, they estimate that there's about 800 or so businesses that are currently out of compliance. Now, what does this, if we were to bring those 800 or so businesses into compliance, the city can expect approximately $580,000 on ongoing revenue. So this does not include any back taxes that the program would be able to recover. So council approved two types or two amnesty programs. The first one is a 60-day phased approach program, which is tailored towards or open to all businesses, those that are out of compliance due to failure to renew their license, and those that have never renewed. The program, this initial program, is set to start on March 30th. And from the 30th to the 28th, any penalties and interest that the business would have otherwise have paid would be completely forgiven. And then the following 30 days, which would be April 29th to the May 28th, 50% of those penalties and interest would be. So what happens after this this program or this initial program? HDL will continue an amnesty program for newly licensed businesses. So it would follow the phased approach. So if they come, they're identified, they are reached, the HDL will reach out to them, notify them of they're out of compliance, and then the countdown begins as of that date. So they'll be given the first 30 days to come into compliance without any penalties or interest, and then a following 30 days at 50%. And thereafter, if they continue to failure to come into compliance, they can talk to the city, and we would discuss what other options that we currently have. With that, I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Jonathan. We are working on public outreach for this initiative. One of the tools that we'll be using for outreach is to send out postcards. This is an example of what the postcard looks like. This would be sent to all businesses, including businesses that are inactive, which means they don't have an active license on file with the city or have to renew that process. We'll also be doing email campaigns to ensure that businesses are aware of the limited time program. We do plan to engage with local businesses, property owners, property managers, just to ensure that we are doing all the necessary outreach to ensure there's visibility behind this program, as well as marketing, tapping into our social media platforms, newsletter platforms, as well as our city. We have developed a frequently asked questions FAQ that's available on our business license as well. So if there's questions regarding the details of the program, criteria, eligibility, all of that is available online at this time. So that will to get questions answered as needed. A little bit of a snapshot of what we're looking at as it relates to our commercial centers. There are currently, from the analysis, about 68 business license holders located in commercial centers that have an inactive status. The number of commercial shopping centers with an inactive status is about 23 centers. And so that's an area that we hope to see EDC assist with. So that way we continue to ensure that businesses are aware during the limited time period of this amnesty. And then just going to the last slide here, we hope the recommended action would be to approve EDC outreach to local shopping center businesses to raise awareness. It's supplemental to the work that's already being done by staff. And then staff will provide a list of at least 5 to 7 businesses next week for outreach, should the committee decide to move forward with reporting outreach efforts. And that way we'll capture those, 60 or so businesses with shopping centers that are inactive and not in good standing with our business license program. And that concludes the presentation. We're happy to take questions from the committee. And therefore, I'll just pass it back to the Vice Chair.
Thank you for this. Mr. Roscoe, I believe you said that could you clarify, after the 60-day period, if the particular business hasn't elected to renew, that we would come back to sort of discuss next steps around enforcement. Could you maybe just provide additional information around what, just sort of what that actually means?
Is this after the initial 60-day phased approach that is open to all businesses? Is that what you were referring to?
Yes, after the 60-day amnesty period, essentially.
Okay, so this first phase approach, which is what we're discussing today, if there's a failure to come to compliance, the HDL would, after some effort, we would have to discuss with city attorney's office what tools is available to the city to encourage these out of compliant businesses to come into compliance.
Understood. Thank you. Are there any additional sort of comments or questions from the committee, both online or in the room as well? And I might need some help just sort of identifying folks who are maybe raising their hands for comments.
In the past, what has been done to enforce the business license?
In terms of the
Someone falling out of compliance with the business license, what enforcement methods have been used and what was the outcome of that?
So let me provide you a bit more of a backstory as to where we are today and why this is coming up today. So
Okay.
historically, the business license program was managed in-house. And so when a business came out of compliance, it was very difficult to identify those businesses because the city just didn't have the resources to identify and kind of follow up. Now that we've moved over to HDL, who's one of the premier businesses, consultants that manage this in the state, they have the resources and the ability to identify those licenses or those businesses that have fallen out of compliance or have never submitted an application. And so with their assistance, they're going to help the city identify those businesses, and they're going to be a close, they'll, as far as options, they'll review our municipal code, how can we, again, encourage some of these businesses to come in compliance. This is our first step into that, moving in that direction. So the city wants to remain business friendly, right? And so this is one of those options that we have. We don't want to come out right and say, you know what, all you businesses that are out of compliance, you owe the city all these penalties and interest. We want you to come into compliance and let's stay in compliance. And HDL will help assist with keeping those businesses in compliance through various notices, well in advance, and even some after the fact.
Another question is, when they fall out of compliance, are they not collecting sales taxes or what happens?
They're completely separate.
Okay,
Sales tax is remitted to the California Department of CBTFA. So the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration. And so that's managed by them, whereas the business license tax is remitted to the city.
to the city, okay.
We do have a hand raised, Councilmember Wong.
I do. Hi, everybody. Quick question, Jonathan. The question is the fees collected for the business license tax, are they allocated to business activities for the Economic Development Committee? Or is it back to the general fund?
It's they're one and the same. So expenses incurred by the Economic Development Committee is part of the general fund. The revenue that's generated from these business license tax goes to the general fund as a general tax or general revenue, not specific to any one particular type of activity.
Okay, and if we were wanting to make sure that some of it were going back for reinvestment, that's just handled at the city's budget. That's from the budget capability, right? So, okay. All right, good. Thank you.
So this initial thing is the carrot, part of the carrot stick, right? So as part of the carrot, do you have assistance to, especially like the people that have never signed up? Do you have, are you saying, and if you do, you know, we will help you this process. You have that, is that part of your program?
Yes. Go ahead, John.
So HDL is, again, they're gonna be helping us. Once we've identified or once they've come out, HDL will help them by assisting them through the application process. What bits of information is requested? And so sometimes there are some questions that some of the businesses just don't know how to answer, right?
Yeah, that's.
And so,
I get that really well. I mean, it's like, what, how difficult is it gonna be? And sometimes it's just easier to hide.
yeah, it can be, but HDL is that they have a great customer service, and so they'll be able to assist the businesses along. Now, there is some difficulty between the business and the HDL. We are certainly welcome to reach out to the city directly to finance, and we'll assist them. Provide further assistance.
Staff is definitely available to assist businesses, especially during this time. If there's questions, we're here to answer those questions and provide the necessary support.
Hi, Claudio Bono here. Thank you for the presentation. I think it's a great step. First comment is that I found it very odd that we still have about 800 or so businesses that operate in Cupertino without an active business license. Per my research, I understand that seems that these are businesses that are small one or those that just recently started. But I understand, and as you mentioned, that the city also transitioned with HDL. And but I'm wondering if we're not gonna fall into a supplemental double effort here. Because at the end of the day, is HDL waiting on us to know who are we gonna contact so that they remove it from their system? It can create such a confusion and very fast. So I just wanna know, are you in control of the parameters? Whenever we discuss and agreed upon here, will it be translated with HDL so that we have a direct connect so we know we're not duplicating efforts here? Because that would be, it would not look good, right? So I just want to make sure that HDL is paid for and understand that that's what their business model and that's what they're supposed to do. But I want to make sure that we have a coordination so that we don't duplicate efforts, because it would be kind of odd.
It's a great statement, and I think, Jonathan, you can add on. I think we're very much coordinated for this effort. But Jonathan, if you would like to elaborate more.
Yeah,
Elaborate.
exactly. So I've been working closely with HDL, providing them updates as the amnesty program develops, right? Initially back in February, council just gave us the green light, go ahead and move forward with it. Well, now we had to discuss logistics. How is this going to look, right? Who's going to be our efforts? Who are we reaching out? Who's the postcards going to? Is the economic development committee going to physically go to each location, discuss with them personally? So we'll be providing the list of the businesses that are receiving a postcard, and possibly also the list of, once we finish here, depending on the action, who are going to be receiving physical notices, or whether committee members are going to specific locations, or if there's any way that we can have a positive confirmation that they were notified, right? And they will take that information, provide that to HDL, and they'll essentially use that and integrate it into their efforts.
Yeah, I would just add that, the goal is to ensure that the businesses are aware of this program, because the program to all of us, businesses, city, the residents, community. And so just ensuring we add those layers of outreach methods, right? When it comes to collaborating with HDL to ensure there's no duplication or repetitive approaches, collaborating internally with staff and our different partners within the business community, as well as leveraging the Economic Development Committee to also assist and ensure that there's just no gaps in the outreach process. So that's kind of why we're here today. And that's one of the reasons why we're trying to ensure that all different elements are being addressed during this period.
Question. What is the fee structure for HDL? How much are they costing us? Do they get a portion of the recovery, or we have to pay them a flat fee anyway, or?
I can provide some information. So the way the contract was developed is they became a flat fee of $16 per business license. And then for those that they're able to recover through their own efforts, it is 50% of what they're able to recover. And this is just strictly off of the essentially the and that is for that initial recovery. Ongoing revenue generation would be 100%.
Now you're creating a new question for me. If they are able to collect 50% of that set, what they were able to recover, as a city where Cupertino, Silicon Valley, we value businesses, wouldn't that be a better idea to actually give them a 50% upfront of the business fee instead of paying a third party while we're still in need of having our businesses thriving here, so therefore helping them with their business license costs?
So the 50%, this is gonna essentially be, again, that gets back to that the interest, the ongoing amnesty program. So HDL will not recover those the interest and the penalties for that initiative, so that's a continual carrot, as Committee Member Carter had stated earlier. So for those are new businesses. Now, the businesses that have gone out of compliance, they should have stayed in compliance and they would not have had that issue.
So we didn't pay them for the generating the report. Like they created a report of who are not compliant.
So that is
They
based,
paid-
sorry, go ahead.
Were they paid for that or?
That initial report, they were not paid. So this is based off of preliminary research and taking the city of our size that have managed business license in-house and did not have a compliance section. So these are estimates. Although they are conservative, it's rooted off of their experience.
So we are talking about like out of 580, they're getting about $250,000 for the support and city is getting a quarter.
So this is 580 ongoing revenue. So this would be new generation. Now, let's say on average, the businesses were a year and a half arrears, right? Or back taxes. So you can expect about, let's round up from 580 to 600. A year and a half worth of back taxes would equate to about 900,000. So they would essentially collect the half of that, the back taxes, and then we would collect 580 of ongoing revenue. It starts getting complicated very quickly, but they only collect on the bits that we are able to generate. So let's assume might be easier to trying to visualize this. In short, they get 50% of it, what they're able to cover. This amnesty program that we're discussing today, this is strictly out of the city's efforts. So this would not, their 50% wouldn't be applied here. It's once after this initial 60-day phased approach, ongoing efforts by them after, meaning May 29th to May 30th, that's when the 50% would kick in.
Right now, it's all free, like they're not being paid for those.
Correct. Just the $16 per business license for the administration.
Yeah,
So-
so I am, okay, sorry. Thank you so much, Mr. Roscoe. And I do want to be sure that again, we're sort of managing to time. What I do want to make clear just to the committee is let's focus on what is on the agenda, which is the program outreach to the shopping centers versus talking and discussing potentially the commercial structure of the partner that the city of Cupertino has decided to assist with this program. So if we can, I appreciate that we do probably want more information, but I want to be mindful as well of time and to leave also time for public comment too. So is there anything sort of related basically to the current agenda item?
Well, point of order here, Vice Chair, first and foremost is for the commissioner to fully understand and grasp. You can't dismiss for the matter of time. We're about to engage about something and commissioners needs to ask, and this is the time for them to ask questions. So I just want to make that clear. So before we're moving forward, regardless of time, we want to make sure that every commissioner has asked all their questions so that they can grasp it better.
And
Yeah.
again, absolutely completely agree on the point of order. Again, I just want to be sure that we're not sort of delving maybe necessarily into the commercial agreement with the provider and to gain clarity on the actual business license amnesty program parameters itself.
I think it's very important to understand that how much revenue is really coming to the city. If like, so it's like the number looks like 580, but if that's not coming to the city, then it's maybe like what Commissioner Bono said, might be discounting the businesses, the fee, so that they're more incentive and not being so expensive to register.
So,
We have to evaluate the different options, right?
what we're discussing was provided by council direction, so that the council understands the fees. Together. What's being discussed today is how do we implement the amnesty program, right? And so that's the objective here. What's the best approach? And what the liaison Daegu had stated earlier is it's more how do we get the message out to our businesses, right? Get them into compliance as quickly as possible. Otherwise, within this window, so they can take advantage of the 100% amnesty or the 50% in the fall.
Through the chair. Through the chair real quick, just to give some context to this. Last year when we were doing 4th of July, we were trying to do a 4th of July dine in or dine out. I got that screwed up. I won't get that right. But we're trying to do the dine in or dine out in Cupertino program. And, you know, just doing a simple analysis on Google, we were able to identify 160 businesses that were listed but had not paid business taxes. And just to give you an idea, that's the extent of it. And so now taking it at a bigger scale, we now have an opportunity to go out there and do outreach to local shopping centers. We can each all go out there and get a list of 5 to 7 businesses and go out there and do our part and help do the outreach. And so if that's something you're interested in being part of, that's really what this recommended action and next steps is. And so I think that's the point that I guess Vice Chair is making is like, and Claudio, you're definitely right. I mean, we should understand the mechanisms of that. I think it's just we're more downstream here on the committee. I think council has already made the decision to say, hey, this is a great idea. Let's go and do it. We don't think we can do it on our own. We need to engage in a provider that has access to tax databases, government records. They have all the filings. They have certificates. They can get to the Secretary of State information database, and then they can come back and tell us who to go reach out to encourage them to. My only comment here is like, if we're going to go and do the outreach, there's the carrot and there's the stick. We're coming in with the stick. I think we should also have a little message that explains what the carrot is. Here are the benefits that you'll be part of, going forward as a member. So that was my only comment here.
Understand the stick. Yeah, I mean, I have a comment on that. Thanks.
We can just go in order with questions. So we have one hand raised here, and maybe that's the best way to approach it is just raise your hand and we'll just call on each individual. And anyone virtually, they can obviously raise their hand. So because we have the vice chair remote, it's hard, I think, to see who here has a hand up. So let's just go one by one and then everyone will have their opportunity to provide comment.
Thank you very much. So I wanted to first confirm, if we are going to go out to businesses, as we say, with the stick, will we be given the amount of money? I imagine the first question I'm going to get from business is how much do I owe? And so I'm looking here and it says the structure is, standard flat fee is 181. On top of that, or maybe it's 185, I'm sorry. And then on top of that, you have a per square foot rate. So everyone is paying a different rate. So are we going to be told how much that business will owe?
Not upfront.
Because that is a difficult conversation to have if we can't answer that question, because we're basically we're like the tax collector.
Yeah.
So that would be my first feedback. Yes.
I'm happy to
Okay.
respond to that. So yeah, that information as far as what they owe, I don't think would be available for outreach purposes. However, at some point, the business will need to get in touch with HDL to start that process of submitting an application. And when they do have that engagement, then they will have the opportunity at that time to learn what the cost will be for them to get back into compliance. So, and to the point about providing benefits, we can most certainly provide a document that gives every committee member necessary information of what the value impact is for assisting with outreach and getting businesses to comply. And again, if businesses are not complying, which I highly suspect is not going to be an option, it's not going to be something we'll see where they don't want to do this. Then the enforcement will begin obviously after the 60 days. But we'll make sure to have every committee member given the tools necessary to go out, provide outreach.
That one that you're going out there with the care. You're not going out there with the stick. You're essentially going to say, hey, take advantage of this amnesty program. You won't have to pay this down. I think that's the approach that we should.
I mean, we need to be able to answer the second level of questions, right? As soon as you say, oh, you owe money.
Yeah.
Second question is, how much do we owe?
And then my second comment was, or question, I thought it was an excellent question from Commissioner Osawa on the fees to HGL and very relevant. If we are by chance able to assist with a recovery, would we be able to bypass the 50% that goes to HGL and say that the city got that?
Certainly, so your efforts are going directly towards the city. So HDL's, what they're gonna be doing it on the back end. So once this initial phased approach is complete, they're gonna be coming in and essentially playing cleanup.
Okay.
Right, so what wasn't captured at this time?
Okay, thank you. And then my final question is, so we are talking to the 68 inactive businesses, license holders in commercial centers, but there is a very large pool that never had a license, right? And so is there a reason why we wouldn't just go to the ones that never had licenses?
So that, I take that on, but I think with the ones that don't have a license, that's also gonna be part of discovery phase, right? Which ones do not? We do have a very strong inventory of businesses that are inactive, that are not currently licensed with the city, that have previously been done before. So those for sure, we wanna make sure we tackle and ensure that they have the information necessary to participate in the program.
Okay, thank you. No, there's other questions.
Okay, so we have one, okay, so we have, who was first?
Mr. Bono is the.
I can, as a hotelier, I can only see on the day of doing it myself. I'm entering AT&T High. I am XO. They will look at me and say, who are you? What do you want? So can we please have a script for those who are not used to do that? Two, are we presenting ourselves with, I don't know, this is a great program and a great effort of recovery and making everything legit. Are you gonna consider to give a business cards to each of us who are going to actually go into those businesses? Because for privacy and safety reasons, I don't think people are going to disclose or wanting to talk to any of us. For anyone that just says, yeah, I'm part of the EDC, I think it needs to be a little bit more for security purposes for everybody involved. Just saying, that might be a better way to proceed because I'm seeing it, doing it myself right now, but some people may be afraid of.
No, great. We can most certainly give you a script. That should not be a problem. I think to the second point, it's identification, right?
Yes.
Bringing that trust as an ambassador, which is one of the core functions that we see. So we can also find a way to make sure that that is clear to any business representative that you're on behalf of the city as a representative from EDC. So we can work on that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully it's my last question. This is your fault that I had that. I'm a business person who is not budgeted in this fee. Suddenly I'm getting a new outgo. Boom. Are you going to have a carrot saying, well, you don't have, we can do this broken up? Because I don't make enough money, everything to pay it all. That's my concern.
From my understanding, each deal will follow the city's municipal code. The way it's stated, it doesn't allow for a payment plan of sorts. What it says, it's very much, it just kind of tees out holding for an interest along those penalties. So that's what, that is the authority each deal has. They do not have an authority to, nor did my staff in finance have the authority to grant a payment schedule. So based off the municipal code, we would have to follow it. So right now, what's being granted is the interest and penalty-free option.
And I add to that, and I think that's why we have this 60-day time frame, right? Is to allow for that time if there is an issue like that.
Because normally they would have had a budgeted in for every month I'm paying. Rated schools.
Right. And Great point. So if, let's say they start, there is gonna be some leniency. Let's say they start the application process within the first 30 days, but due to some back and forth, they land themselves in. We'll have a conversation with HDL, but you know what, if they're making a honest effort to try to come into compliance and it just happen to fall outside that, when they eventually got everything completed, they move from 100% penalty free to the 50 or 50 to up to the 60 days. If they're chatting with you and kind of providing information, we can be lenient in that sense, right? But if they're saying, if they just come on the 31st and say, hey, you know what, I just heard about this, or they just drag their feet, well, I'm sorry, we did have quite a bit of time, especially if it's a business that you all spoke.
I just want to give a final piece of feedback. I think, given that we are not fully equipped with the full extent of information about every business that we're going up to, like how much tax they owe, I do think that it's maybe more effective. At least for me personally, the way I would approach this is more just talking to the businesses, as this says, raising awareness of the amnesty program and maybe gathering their feedback on why they haven't paid and conveying that back to the city. But, lacking the information of how much they owe, I'm not sure that I would be able to get them to the point of committing, but I could channel feedback.
Your point, actually, you should not know how much they owe because that could be confidential.
I see.
Right. So if anything, it's good that you don't have that information because essentially, there might be a dollar amount that may be public record, but you don't have the detail. Nor would I want you to go out there with that detail because that could also put you in a non-bind. Really going out. There's like, hey, our records showing this is anyone from the public could pull up these records. That's it states you're out of compliance. We're just what we're trying to do here is make you aware of this amnesty program. Reach out to the city, reach out to HDL who can assist you to come into compliance and take advantage of the amnesty program.
That's critical.
And the postcard has the contact info where they should.
They have information on where to go with next steps. Any other questions from committee members?
I have one last question, sir. What is the structure of the business license? Is it based on the square footage of the business or how is it? What is it?
There's a flat fee of about $180. And then on top of that, depending on the type of business, there's an add-on. So if it's a brick and mortar, they're just like a dental office, it's the square footage. Some other businesses, I think one that comes to mind is the massage parlors. I think there's an added tax there. So hotels, I think there's another tax based off the number of rooms. So that certain businesses have a different type of structure, but in general, for the most part, it's based off of a flat fee and square footage.
Thank you.
How about the home businesses, the people who conduct
It's
business?
just a flat. The home occupancy business.
Daniel, is there anyone else just kind of in the room from the committee? Any other final comments before we move to the public comments?
Vice
Anyone
Chair,
on-
any other questions from inside the room or also from any members online?
I just want to point out to everybody, you can find the list of fees in the Cupertino Municipal Code. It's section 504.110, and you can list all the businesses, how it's calculated. We're just focused on shopping centers, which is why that is a flat fee and a square footage. So,
Thank you, Councilmember Wong. All right, let's move to any public comments on item number 1.
We have no speakers, Vice Chair.
All right, thank you so much. I will now entertain a motion to approve EDC outreach to local shopping center businesses to raise awareness of the business license amnesty program, with staff providing EDC members a list of 5 to 7 businesses next week for outreach during the business license amnesty period.
And I will second it. Claudio Bono.
Oh, sorry, if someone could so move,
Make-
and then I will ask for a second, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the EDC outreach to local shopping center businesses to raise awareness of the business license amnesty program.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Staff liaison, if we can do a roll call vote, please.
Committee member Asawa. Committee member Bono.
Yes.
Committee member Carter. Committee member Dolphy.
Yes.
Committee member Casultron.
Yes.
Council member Wong.
Aye.
Vice Chair Kane.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Let's move on to item number 2 is the Cupertino Business Outreach Program participation. So committee, again, I'll open up the floor for discussion as well as any staff presentations on this too as well.
Thank you, Vice Chair. If you have a PowerPoint, I'll share. So the Cupertino Business Outreach Program is a program that was established in 2022. And this program really allows staff to visit local businesses in the city and create that connection where there's a conversation, discussion between the public sector, which is our local government, and our private industry businesses. We do this typically on a weekly basis, and we visit businesses and try to get information, as I mentioned, and we've visited many businesses over the last several years. As it relates to this calendar year, we visited over 175 businesses, and I believe we're projecting by the end of the calendar year to visit over 700. And there's a great opportunity here now that we have the EDC reinstated for EDC to also participate in this effort. As you all are business member representatives, and you have connections and relations with local businesses. So to be able to further support this initiative makes a lot of sense and a lot of synergy that's going to be there for that. So one thing that with this program, one of the things that that's been developed is a questionnaire kind of survey. And this is something that I would love to get some feedback on from EDC. Do these questions make sense? If there is interest from EDC, should we reduce the number of questions? Should we revise the existing questions? With some feedback from the EDC today, we can finalize this document, provide that to EDC if there's interest, and then you have the tools and the mechanisms to go out there and engage with businesses. This tool will also allow us to have the ability to generate data about what businesses are providing us. And so I think this is a great opportunity. Just wanted to bring this before the committee and see if there is any interest to move this particular item forward. And I can read the questions if it's difficult to see.
Yes.
I realize it may not be as clear. And so let me just get to the last slide and I'll come back to this so we can have a discussion. So the recommended action and next steps, if the committee approves, it would be to outreach to local businesses to collect feedback using the Cupertino Business Outreach Program questionnaire. Staff would provide EDC members a questionnaire next week, and that can then start outreach by the committee members. And so let me just go back to this slide here where it has the questions. These questions are generated to just get some information about the businesses. So why did you locate your business in Cupertino? Who are your primary customers? How many employees do you currently have in Cupertino? What challenges or concerns do you face operating in the city? Are you aware of any city city programs such as shop local promotions, business trainings, workshops, or mentoring? Are you interested in learning more? Are there any recent industry changes or trends impacting your business in Cupertino? Do you rent or own your space? If you rent, where does your lease expire? And would you like information about available spaces in Cupertino? And then any specific issues or opportunities you think the city can help you with? What can we do to help your business better succeed in the city? And again, when we're going out there meeting with businesses, we're asking these types of questions. But this now gives us a tool to have a document that we can then get information, store it, and actually get some data and look at that, let's say from a year from now or at the end of the year, and see how we can develop programs and services that best fit the needs of what the business community is looking for. Stop right there. I do see a hand online. Councilmember Wong, you would like to ask your question? Open up.
I do. I actually was trying to figure out how we can actually simplify data collection. I was hoping that this would be a digital form or like something in SurveyMonkey that someone could easily add so you can collect those questions very quickly. And that way, all would have to do is open up a QR code, sit there with an iPad, do it with them and answer the questions or whoever is doing it so that you save a lot of time on the collection side. So I think the questions are great. I think they're good questions. I just think that it might be a way to save time to do the data collection so that people can just actually get to a website and connect from there.
Great idea. We can most certainly do that.
Is there any other sort of questions or discussion points from the committee members in the room? I can't see hands.
Okay, we do have 5 questions, 5 hands raised here in
Perfect.
so we just go in order perhaps.
Yeah, I wanted, my feedback would be that I think this is great. I would very much prefer this to be my first touch point with a business than, did you know that you weren't paying taxes and we're here to ask you about them? And so, you know, I think for me personally, at least, I would actually, for all the businesses I'm assigned to on the business license amnesty program, I would also want to do the business outreach survey first. Because I just, you know, I think it's really hard to go into a business, just tell them they haven't paid taxes. I think that is not the dynamic we should have with our businesses, and I think we should show them that we care about them. And so, you know, for me personally, I like the survey and I would implement it more broadly. Let's go ahead.
I have 2 questions. One is, are we going to be assigned a set of businesses for this outreach, or how does the actual mechanics work for this outreach?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for the committee, and this is obviously something that can be discussed during this meeting, but I think you have your relationships, you know, the businesses here in the community. I think it's best to start with the businesses you have relationships with. And then if there's further assistance needed from staff as far as identifying businesses, I can definitely do that. But I think just using your network and reaching out to businesses that you already have a relationship with is probably the best way to go for this initiative.
And the second question is, on the item number 3 over there, is there a website within the Cupertino city where we publish the list of promotions for local businesses?
Yes, we do have, and I can share that after the meeting. We do have on the economic development webpage a shop local button as an example.
Right.
That button will show you the various shop local initiatives that we have in the city. And that's actually one of the items we'll be discussing, I think, the next item on this for this meeting, which is our upcoming shop local campaign for the summer that relates to the World Cup and July 4th. So yes, we have that. We also have our business resource hub, which is a new hub that was launched late last year around Small Business Saturday in November. This is an item that will come for the committee at the next meeting in April to get more information on that. So yes, we have resources available. We have information such as Shop Local all on our website, and I can make sure that the committee members are all familiar with it. So that way you have all the tools necessary to go out and engage with businesses.
Yeah, that's really very
You know where Cupertino begins and ends.
Sure.
It's not, it's hard to tell.
Can help with that.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
I looked at the question, they look fine to me, but I just wanted to make sure that the city has vetted them for privacy reasons. That's one. I want to make sure we can take off with that. And actually, I would think that both are going hand in hand. And I love the suggestion of the QR code because it should be part of the amnesty card where they are also able to put the feedback in it. And I think both goes hand in hand. That's my sense, but I want to make sure that these questions are vetted. I don't want to be saying this is goes against privacy and all of that. Not HIPAA law, but privacy itself.
Yeah, especially the least term.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's because I've been beat up so frequently. But whenever I have a questionnaire, I now want to know, what is this doing to me? Is this just almost all the questionnaires I get, really, they don't care about my answers. They want my, my contact information so they can get me for other stuff, like. So I should be able to tell them what this doesn't do.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
it does. The spamming, for example, I know that comes to
Yeah.
mind. Yeah, we can ensure online in the form that there's some kind of language that brings confidence to businesses that we're not going to be using this information in a negative way. It's
They're
really-
not signing up for some religious cult.
No, it's really just intended to provide feedback so that way we can develop programs that support them. And we can make sure we outline.
Because that's how I. Like, why should I answer these questions?
Should it ask for the revenue, like the third number?
Question?
Yeah, no, we have the information, business name, business contact.
Oh, yes. Top part of the form is business name, business contact, business address, phone, email, date, when this form is completed, and it's completed by would be the individual like myself, if I'm going out there, my name, so that way we know who has engaged with that.
I think what Council Member Wang said, I think that's very important for data collection, having an electronic form rather than going with a paper form. I think that should be a primary criteria before we go out.
Yeah, so I think with that feedback, that's a great suggestion. We can digitize the
Yeah.
information online and have a QR code and make sure it's easy and accessible. And there's flexibility, right, to complete it. So we can do that. Any other feedback? Any other questions? Vice Chair, it doesn't feel like there's any more questions.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on item number 2?
We have no speakers, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Let's go ahead. I'd like to ask if there's a motion to approve EDC outreach to the local businesses to collect feedback using the CBOP questionnaire.
I would like a motion with a friendly amendment. I'd like to make a motion to approve the EDC outreach to local businesses to collect feedback using Cupertino Businesses Outreach Program questionnaire for as long as privacy laws and questions that are going to be asked were vetted in prior to. And that we include the QR code for additional feedback and questionnaires in regards to the business, to the amnesty program card.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're seconding the amendment. So do we need, sorry, let me just ask, do we need to just discuss only the change? And not, perfect. Let's go ahead. Perfect. Let's go ahead, please, move to a roll call vote.
Sure, Committee Member Asawa,
Yes, with the amendment.
Committee Member Bono,
Aye.
Committee Member Carter,
Yes.
Committee Member Donkey,
Yes, with the amendment.
Committee Member Casultron,
Yes.
Council Member Wong.
Aye.
Committee Member Yip is absent, Vice Chair Kang,
Aye.
Chairman is absent, the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Point of order. If I leave the meeting, do we still have quorum? I want to make sure it's 3:30 here in Pune, India. So,
Yes, we do have quorum.
Yeah.
okay, cool. So
No one's left.
I'm holding out. I'm holding out as long as I can. So,
Councilmember Wong, please just let us know and we'll make sure that the record reflects that.
okay, thank you.
Let me just head back to the agenda here too as well. I apologize. I sort of lost my place on here. We are on number 3. Yes, so thank you. Item number 3 concerns the Cupertino Summer of Celebrations Shop Loco campaigns. I'd like to open the floor up for discussion on this item.
Sure. Are for this, try to go quickly. So, as we've discussed in previous meetings, the FIFA World Cup will be happening in June. And then we have July 4th celebrations in July. So there's a great opportunity for us to celebrate Shop Local during that time frame. And this is the program that I wanted to bring before the EDC. So we will be having a Summer of Celebration Shop Local campaign. This will be a 1-month campaign from June 13th to July 13th. June 13th being that's when the FIFA matches kick off here in the Bay Area. So the timing is all connected to those to that upcoming event. We will have a registration deadline for businesses to sign up for this campaign. We're setting it to May 15 to allow for enough opportunity for businesses to sign up. Eligibility requirements to participate in Shop Local campaign for the city is you must have a physical location in the city, you must offer some sort of promotion or special within during that time frame. We're looking at dine-in establishments, right? We want to create that buzz and also generate the local sales tax here within the city during these kind of campaigns. And one of the requirements of our Shop Local campaigns that we've been operating here throughout the city for many years is having a valid Cupertino business license, and hence why the business amnesty program makes a lot of sense. And the council member had mentioned the dine out from last year, where we did learn that businesses were not always in good standing, and so they couldn't participate in the campaign. So I'm very excited for this campaign that's coming up this summer, because I do feel very confident that we're going to have a strong turnout of businesses that are going to participate. So that's the campaign from an overview perspective. Recommended action and next step is for EDC to approve outreach to local eateries. So this could all be part of your outreach campaign as it relates to CBOP, the Cupertino Business Outreach Program, as it relates to business amnesty, as well as providing some of these carrots again, right, with opportunities to promote your business here in the city. So approving outreach to local eateries and encouraging participation in the Summer of Celebration Shop Local campaign. To establish a subcommittee to develop ideas for marketing Cupertino before and during the campaign, with a focus on encouraging out-of-town visitors to shop, dine, and stay at local hotels, and direct the subcommittee to provide an update at the next regular EDC meeting on April 30th. And then with those two recommended actions, then staff will make flyers available for EDC members to begin outreach during the registration period. So that's kind of the recommended action. And with that, I will turn it back to the vice chair, and individuals have questions.
Thank you. And as we take questions too, as well, please, committee members, if you are interested in serving on the subcommittee, to please also indicate that in both your questions and comments. Daniel, I handed it back to you to kind of call on folks in the room, please.
I personally believe, this is Claudio Bono speaking, personally believe, I mean, I've lived 15 years in Miami. Miami has such a program that it's called Miami Spice that is very well known. And they do have a 3-course program for $35. This is not obviously to offer the best of the super duper rate. It allows residents from Cupertino and people from outside of Cupertino, if we kind of change the title and call it Cupertino flavor, that would work a little bit better, because it's an opportunity for any and all restaurant to showcase what they have at the very limited price to engage resident to go. But of course, it will go with the bite-sized type of whatever the businesses may want to do. This is something that has been and still is very successful in Miami per se. We could do it right here. It would probably entice more people if we go towards kind of the same program and say and approach Pineapple Thai, Alexander, BJ's and say, hey, do you want to showcase your menu for anyone interested? And that would create incremental incidental revenue for any and all eateries in Cupertino so that they can showcase at the very limited price what it sells. Now, we can do two things. People can just come for that specific amount and menu that would be preset for by them and at the same time they can have ad hoc menu. Then we would need again to unify all the businesses that are participating under that through a specific logo or program and opening a. Again, I just came up with a Cupertino flavor and you put the list of restaurants interested in participating in that. And at the end, the benefit is just them, but also offers the rest of the world or anyone else to go into those Cupertino eateries and provide that small amount and maybe more, but at least to give an opportunity to taste.
Yeah, so I think I understand your comment. Instead of focusing on the deals and special aspect of the campaign, kind of open it up to restaurants so they can showcase kind of their menu. And if they're offering deals and specials, fantastic, but we have a vehicle where businesses can have a way to market themselves and what they have to offer as a business in general. Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
It is, but with maybe the opportunity here to say, we have a once in a lifetime opportunity to showcase your business, but then you may want to rethink of a set price for a set menu that you want to display or to showcase your business so people can come and pay for it. Not having to, for example, you go to Alexander, you pay $35, but you have a little bite thing, but then it gives them the opportunity to whoever goes there to see their full menu. If they want to eat something else, great. Or if they want to stay with that specific menu to entice them to come in, then that's where the sale goes. And they basically are showcasing everywhere what they can do. And I'm just saying their name, their price, but opportunity to have more events. You know, I think it's a great enticement way to introduce that segue to this specific program to resident and off resident.
Actually might help the restaurant to come up with a new menu for that.
Yeah.
I think I second shop.
Could we, sorry, and I apologize. Could we just go back one slide, Daniel, just so that it's up for everyone to kind of see the requirements. Thank you.
And so we could create a Cupertino flavor from June 13 to July 13. Have a list of all the restaurant. All restaurant would have the same as what we did for Super Bowl. Have that specific, what's it called that we had, the placard that I forgot how you say. Postcard, no, posters in front of their restaurant. We could have that QR code which shows all the list of all the restaurants and gives them an incentive to sell to anyone and everybody and come up with a program that would literally make the driver here compared to other cities because no one else has them.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the goal is to come back, right, at the next meeting in April and have a continued discussion on this item. But to your point, the goal is to continue to do that for this summer campaign, to have posters, to have QR codes, to ensure that there's a place where people can go and see all the different amenities that we have to offer as far as restaurants and deals and specials and all of that. So we will definitely do that. But at the same time, the points that you bring in. Valid.
Couple of points, think, instead of here, let's say the shop Cupertino, instead of calling shop local, let's call it Cupertino because local is very specific to the area. So, and the second question, like I was in SF when I attended, for all the fitness centers, they have combined that you buy a pass for a weekend, you can try one class in everywhere or something like that. So again, can somebody buy $100 card or $200 card? It lets you eat at 5 restaurants with a special menu or something. So you kind of have an incentive to buy in bulk and then try out 5 or 3 or what, like $100, 3 restaurants, special menus. So it kind of, people sometimes find it easier to spend 100 than 35.
Yeah.
It's strange, but yeah.
Okay. I see we have Councilmember Wong with a hand raised.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I think common branding is important. Having been to the Miami Spice event many times, I would say what works there is because they have a lunch menu, they have a dinner pricing, a lunch pricing. But I think what's more difficult here is we're mixing shops, right? We've got boba shops which have different price points, and we've got places that serve family style meals that don't do appetizers and 3-course meals mixed into this. So I think what we have right now, Claudio, I mean, the marketing team's going to figure it out, but just for everyone to know, they're going to come in at different price points. And right now it's probably better for them to figure out how to do it, but at least have the common branding to get us started. And then like over time, it took Miami Spice like about 5 years for everybody to get to that agreement on price points. And of course, our price points are a little bit different as well. So it's going to depend on what the restaurant is. Just something to think about. But I think this is a great idea. And I would say let's just get this marketing committee started. Sounds like everyone in the room has some amazing ideas to share.
Okay, I'm the second last bullet, the compliance. The timing. You can't, I mean, if you pop the compliance after the 30-day period is over, that's gonna be very frustrating to people. So I'm saying it's a timing issue of when you,
Yeah.
this is the carrot.
Yeah, so, what has happened in the past is we always set a registration deadline, but we do extend it. Because we know businesses are busy, they don't always have the time to register. We will have multiple months to conduct outreach for businesses for this campaign, but I do anticipate that we will extend the deadline just as common practice to give businesses an opportunity to sign up, and that extension will go past the 60-day amnesty.
It'd be nice, like, oh, wow, now I haven't, yeah, definitely wanna get the license, because blah, blah, blah. You go like, oh, too late. Okay,
Well, they'll have an opportunity to
Okay.
get into compliance and also.
Another idea which has a lot of effort involved is, what about a Cupertino food fair that can attract not only people within the city, but outside the city also come and sort of participate in testing out trying out all the local foods in Cupertino.
Say the question again, sorry.
Having a Cupertino food fair, right, where the local businesses set up samples of what they have to offer, and people from anywhere can come and try out the food in our parks or in one of our parks, right? What is the popular park we have?
You have many? Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, right, it's about creating activations, what you're talking about, and creating clusters for businesses to have the opportunity to do that. Right now, I know Parks and Rec does a variety of different things that brings businesses kind of out to engage local residents. But at the same time, I think there is an opportunity perhaps to do that as it relates to economic development. So something that I'll keep note of, and at the proper time can definitely that as a committee.
Thank you. And I'll just kind of quickly again sort of reiterate, right? So I think the discussion point here on the agenda is actually about this particular celebration. And again, as both Councilmember Wong pointed out, there will be opportunities as part of the subcommittee to continue to refine, develop ideas too as well. And I think if there are suggestions around format or things like that, I think that would be appropriate for a subcommittee to bring some of those points forward. Just want to be sure that we continue to remain focused on this particular agenda item. Any other comments from the committee members in the room?
Like none. And to establish the subcommittee, we just cannot exceed 4 members. If we do have 5, it will constitute a quorum. So up to 4. We have another item where there'll be establishment of 2 more items where the committee could be established. So you're not limited to just one committee to participate in. You can participate more than one. So just know that as decide if that's okay.
Before we're going to that point, do we need to put a motion for 3.1 here or no?
Motion for.
Yeah.
To approve the EDC outreach?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
This is motion.
But before we make the motion, can I clarify, we are discussing a lot about restaurants right now, but the motion in 3.2 specifically mentioned shop, dine, and stay at local hotels. And I want to make sure that we don't run into any, conflict as we did last time with the collateral only discussing restaurants, but hotels feeling left out. So should we just remove the hotels, or is this actually focusing on more than just restaurants?
It's the latter.
Okay,
This is really to focus on how we can market the city and all of our assets,
Okay.
right? To create a great experience and an opportunity to raise revenue during this campaign period. So it's not just restaurants.
okay. Then I'm happy to move the staff recommendation.
So before we go to a motion, can we go to public comment, Vice Chair?
Yes, sorry. So again, please, let's move to public comments.
We have no speakers, Vice Chair.
Perfect. Thank you. So I will entertain a motion for the Cupertino Summer Celebration Shop Local campaigns.
I'll move the staff recommendation.
Second.
Yeah.
Let's move towards a roll call vote, please.
Committee Member Asawa. Committee Member Bono.
Aye.
Committee Member Carter.
Yes.
Committee Member Donathy.
Yes.
Committee Member Casultron.
Yes.
Councilmember Wong.
Aye.
Committee Member Yip is absent. Vice Chair Kang.
Aye.
Chair Lynn is absent. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and move forward to item 4 on the agenda, which is city event sponsorships through public-private partnerships.
We still need to establish a subcommittee for item 3. So perhaps if there is interest from 4 members, or the committee would like to try to find 4 members to serve on this subcommittee, that I think would be the goal for the second motion.
The traditional, the people that don't come to the meetings get put into the subcommittee.
For accuracy purposes, so you said maximum 4, or can it be 3?
It'd be up to 4.
Up to 4. Okay, so that every committee members here understand. I don't mind being in it.
I'm gonna push. I'd like to be on the other committee, so I'm not pushing to be on this one. So if that makes anything, that helps. So to be clear, I want to be on the item 4 committee. So, but if everybody wants to do it, then I can step out and just be a volunteer. Happy to give that up.
I can be on this subcommittee.
Great. So that was committee member Bono, committee member Dante, right? And is there anyone else? All right.
Yeah, I don't think I have the background.
Okay. I think I think we'll note those names down, Daniel.
Yeah, so we just need a motion now.
Should we also include the folks that aren't coming so that they know that those positions are open, or do you want to do it all at once here?
I would. That's a good point.
I think, well, perhaps we can establish the subcommittee, identify the 2 members, so that way the meetings can happen between now and the next meeting. And then when we come back on April 30th, perhaps we can amend the subcommittee.
We can add 2 more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
add 2 more. Yeah, we can do
There
that.
Up to 2 more.
possibility-
Up to
Of leaving a placeholder. For example, one of our commission members is a small business owner, and I feel like her feedback would be very valid in this group. Is it possible to leave like a placeholder? If she is interested, she can join this subcommittee?
So,
What we just said is exactly what you said.
But I mean, so that she can join it before April 30th,
oh, I see.
and her feedback could be incorporated before then. That's all I'm wondering.
Are there
I guess the question is, if someone is nominated, could they decline if they're not present?
They could always decline. I mean, you
Yeah.
can nominate them.
Yeah, you could nominate them for this.
Okay, I would like to nominate Commissioner Yip as well for the subcommittee, and she can decline if she chooses.
We have a
Perfect. Any,
second?
yeah, any objections to that?
I second.
So. First. Like.
I'd like to do it, but it's so long with the little changes.
Okay, I'll make the motion to nominate Commissioner Bono. I'm sorry, was it Commissioner Dante was on it? And then, was anyone virtually part of this? Okay, Commissioner Yip has the option to accept nomination if she chooses.
Or
The
decline.
subcommittee.
I say.
Just want to make sure you understood Councilmember Wong or decline comment within the motion.
Yes.
Yeah, we're including that.
Thank you.
And I will, actually, that committee member and I had a discussion about connecting after this meeting, so I can bring this up to them.
Great, thank you, Daniel. Okay. Shall we vote, please?
Committee member Asawa. Committee member Bono,
Aye.
committee member Carter. Committee member Dante,
Yes.
committee member Casultron,
Yes.
council member Wong.
Aye.
Committee member Yip is absent, vice chair Kang.
Aye.
Chairlin is absent, the motion carries unanimously.
So item number 4.
Okay, yep, sorry. Sorry, was that someone in the room? Okay, so I just want to be sure, just in terms of procedures too as well, before we move on to item number 4, so that we don't go through this around the committee members. So I think number 1, please let me finish, like, moving through the motions. So a couple things. Once I introduce this next agenda item, as part of the discussion, we should also, before I move to public comment, please indicate your interest in either volunteering for that particular subcommittee, so that once we incorporate it into the motion, we can actually include those names with any caveats around anyone who is absent and would like to decline in order to move through this, if that is okay with everyone, so that we kind of don't go through an additional sort of motion potentially. Is this okay with everybody? Okay, all right. Thank you. Please note that, Ms. Nelson. Let's go on to item number 4, which is the city event sponsorships through public-private partnerships. I'd like to open the floor again for discussion around establishing the subcommittee to help identify the potential sponsors for city events in 26, and open that up to both the committee as well as staff members, please, for discussion and comments.
I have a hand raised, Councilmember Wong.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is really important because there's some interesting things that we're planning to do for some events that sometimes require corporate sponsorships. They follow the city's corporate sponsorship policy, but it's important to set this up here so we can actually officially do it and do the outreach. I'll give an example. For 4th of July, we potentially could put a stage by Creekside Park. To pay for that, it could be, I don't know, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, San Jose Water. It could be any one of those things. That would be the mechanism to be able to create that. It'd be the same thing for FIFA. It could be the same thing for any kind of other event that we want to do through the city. We haven't formalized that process, and that's why I think it's a good agenda item to put there, Daniel. So thanks for putting it on there.
Well, I have a question/comment. We had a cybersecurity event last year, and the process of getting private sponsorships was pretty onerous, right? I mean, it took almost 1 month to get, even if there was a business that was ready to sponsor, there was a lot of hurdles that they had to go through, and we didn't have enough time to get private sponsorship, I mean, for that event. So we didn't have any sponsorship actually. We had to use some of the city money, right, for providing some refreshments for that event. So yeah, this is a really good initiative. And also I think we need to sort of make our process a little bit clean to get private sponsorships. That would be my comment.
Yeah, so we do have a sponsorship agreement at the city that any sponsor would need to complete, and it does have requirements such as insurance and a variety of other different things that need to be completed and submitted. But that's why I think to even the Councilmember Wong's point, right? If we can have this subcommittee that can start identifying businesses and we can figure out what businesses are interested in sponsoring, participating, working with the city, I think that can give us a leg up when it comes to these types of campaigns and events that we have, where we can streamline that process to get those funds from the businesses that may be interested in collaborating with us. So if there are members that are interested in forming the subcommittee, then it'll be good to know who those individuals are and start this process.
I actually would be interested, and I think I was gonna. There's a site on the city. These are all the other events that could have sponsorships, just so people can see. So these are actually on the city website. So these were from last year, but going into this year, so you can see the types of events where we can actually upscale or uplift those events. But anyways,
Yeah.
so hopefully everyone can see those.
Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that, council member. And your interest is also so noted. Are there any additional comments from the committee members in the room too as well? Again, Daniel, please help me with identifying those.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Thank you. Committee member Asawa. Any other comments from folks in the room too around this particular agenda item?
Comments, but I don't mind being added if you want.
Is that committee member?
Bono.
Perfect.
Oh no.
Okay.
And I'd like to be on the subcommittee.
Okay. And this is committee member Dante. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for
four.
expressing. Oh, yep, that's 4. Thank you, Daniel. Is there any other sort of more general comments outside of just interest in serving in this particular subcommittee? I can't see hand raise, but
No hands are raised, Vice Chair.
oh, did you say no hands are raised? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to any public comments on this.
We have no speakers, Vice Chair.
Thank you. I would like to move towards a motion, and please, as you make your motion, please indicate that when you are establishing the subcommittee, that it is consisting of committee member Asawa, council member Wong, committee member Bono, as well as committee member Dante. Is that? I think I got everybody. So I'd like to ask for a motion, please.
Long of a motion to.
I'll try it again. Motion to approve the staff recommended action to establish a subcommittee to help identify potential business sponsors for city events, including Commissioner Asawa, Commissioner Bono, Commissioner Wong, and
Dante.
Commissioner Dunn. Thank you.
Second, please.
I'll second that.
Second.
Perfect. Let's move towards a roll call vote.
Committee member Asawa?
Yeah.
Committee member Bono?
I,
Committee member Carter? Committee member Dante?
Yes.
Committee member Casultron?
Yes.
Council member Wong?
Aye.
Committee member Yip is absent. Vice Chair Kang?
Aye.
Chair Lynn is absent. The motion carries unanimously.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move towards item number 5, which is the economic development incentives for retail, small businesses, and startups. I'll go ahead and open up the floor for discussion, and sort of similar to what we've done previously on item agenda number 4. In addition to any sort of commentary, we'll also take interest as well in folks who would be interested in serving on the subcommittee. Daniel, if you could help me with the room again, please.
Sure. Got your hand raised here?
Yes, this is Tracy. This is a topic that is very dear to me. I would hope that we could include in this action displaced retail that has been displaced through redevelopment. During the last planning commission this week, we approved a new townhome development that will displace the Voyager and Panera Coffee, Voyager Coffee and Panera Bread. And it was met with great concern from the community. And, you know, the business owner of the Voyager came to the meeting, to the planning commission hearing and basically said that she had put her life savings into building this Voyager. They had been with us through the pandemic, and it was really tragic to hear that, with state law, we are pretty much bound to approve a lot of the housing developments that will come along Stevens Creek, but they will be displacing a lot of retail. And while the developer can help provide some support, monetary support to the businesses that are being displaced, they are not really doing much to ensure that the business stays within Cupertino. And so to me, I think it's really important to make sure that, when these businesses get displaced by redevelopment, that we as a city do something to encourage them to stay within the city. So yes, I would love to serve on this subcommittee with a particular lens on helping displaced retail, but I think there's also opportunities to encourage different types of small businesses, startups as well. What I had in mind that we had discussed on the committee, on the planning commission specifically, was around expediting permits for displaced retail. But, again, and also potentially looking at some of the fees. But, I think a lot of these can potentially apply to other attracting new businesses to our city as well. So yes, I'd be happy to serve on this.
Thank you so much for that, committee member Kosofshan, and I actually definitely agree. I think as part of the recommended action items, it does, it does sort of fall within, I think, sort of the existing or new types of retail. But I think that that lens is actually really, really important. I also appreciate your interest as well in serving. Any other sort of comments sort of from folks in the room?
Yes.
I agree with this because we are losing more and more businesses. We just lost the staples, right? Like, where will we go to shop? In fact, most of the time I have to shop, I have to go out of the Cupertino because there are not too many places available. So our ongoing sales revenue is going to continue to decline.
Does that mean you want to be part of that that
Yeah, I
subcommittee?
would like to.
Okay.
Okay, understood. So, committee member, so, and then did I see a hand? Sorry, from
Seems
council
like-
member?
Sorry, that was mine briefly. I was just
Oh,
basically
okay.
saying, buy all your stuff before April 1st, before county sales tax goes up 0.5%. Thank you, people. But anyways,
So noted. Any other
See-
comments from folks in the room?
Seems like a planning commission issue. It's not. I've lived in Cupertino since 1952. And we've hunted over and over again on having a real downtown. And now the state is sort of undoing anything that we can do there. I mean, I don't mind being on this committee. But maybe I should be on this committee, but I'm not sure how people can afford to have a small business Cupertino. And the small businesses are what really make it happen.
please join the committee.
Yeah.
Is that committee member Carter that was just speaking with the comments?
Correct.
You don't need it? Perfect. And I'd like to join too, because at the end of the day, it's based on exploring opportunities and see how we can preserve existing one, but also encourage new types. So I think that all types of businesses in mind alike. Great. So that makes it 4.
Thank you, committee member Bono. Any other sort of comments from
I
folks
have
in
a
the?
comment. I'm not joining the subcommittee. I'm already on too many subcommittees in this one. My comment is that startups have been mentioned. Is there any real estate that can be identified or developed, focused completely towards startup companies? Because in Bay Area, we are having a lot of startups, right? So can we provide any specific incentives towards startups to have like a may not be an incubator, but incubator-like facility?
They're all owned by Apple now.
Yeah, I do think that's an opportunity for the committee to definitely discuss, and as a committee to discuss at the future meetings, right? What kind of ways can we provide those types of incentives for startups? And what those specific look like, how we can discuss.
Big Bonnet Vista is still an opportunity.
Yeah. So again, this uh committee member Dante, thank you so much for calling that out too as well. Exactly. This would be the work of the subcommittee. And what I will also say is, in addition to just the actual members who are serving, this doesn't mean that is part of the recommendations that come back, that additional feedback or comments, research, etc., into some of this. So it won't just be sort of like for the subcommittees just sitting in a room, right? They will be reaching out to have ideas, et cetera, and things like that. So folks will also be able, without even serving on it, to still be able to provide feedback.
I would like to make a motion.
Nope, please
Ah.
wait. Thank you. So is there any other comments in the room
Yeah.
before I move to public comments?
Oh, yeah.
Daniel, no arms raised, no hands raised? Okay, thank you. Is there any public comments on this?
We have no speakers, Vice Chair.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to entertain a motion for this particular agenda item.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to establish a subcommittee to explore potential economic development incentive to preserve existing retail, encourage new types of retail, and support small businesses and startups, and direct a subcommittee composed of Consultant, Bono, Asawa, and Carter to provide an update on the next regular EDC meeting on April 2026. April
Is there-
30th.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. Let's move towards a roll call vote, please.
Committee Member Asawa. Committee Member Bono.
Aye.
Committee Member Carter. Committee Member Dante.
Yes.
Committee Member Casultron.
Yes.
Council Member Wong.
Aye.
Committee Member Yip is absent. Vice Chair Payne.
Aye.
Chair Lynn is absent. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to the Session 4 staffing committee reports. Is there anything for this particular item?
None from staff.
All right. Okay, hearing none, let's go ahead and move on to.
One moment, Chair, Vice Chair, sorry. A report in regards to Super Bowl. The expectations were super high. However, I have to tell you, it was a revenue management, a yield management exercise. And I have to say that Cupertino did well, but not as better than obviously other areas, unfortunately. So, but I'm here to report that not one single hotel except Bad Bunny's hotel was closed because of security purposes, but no other hotel was sold during the event. So not much to report, but we had a little wave, but very little compared to the hype.
See a hand up there from council member, please.
Committee member Bono, I would say you probably did better at GTC than you did at the Super Bowl. Is that true?
What could you
For
repeat?
NVIDIA? Did you do better for NVIDIA than you did for the Super Bowl?
Oh my God, to the yes, with a big YES. NVIDIA, so that everyone understand, the Cupertino Hotel was selling at $989 a night, and it was selling like hotcakes. Compared to obviously to other cities, so did we perform amazingly? I've never had a $400 ADR in Cupertino for the past 12 years, so the NVIDIA conference was amazing. Great.
I'll tell you a
revenue.
secret. The new dates are 21 through 25. That's not public. Enjoy.
Which next year at the same time?
February 21. February 21. Those are the new dates, unofficially. So,
No, thank you.
Hey, I wanted to actually, I realized the sequence and ordering, and I was just say, hey, as a team, this is really good. I think we started to figure out committees. We're going to figure out what kind of work, how to work with each other. I realized there's something I missed in item number 2. Maybe we should raffle off a free business license for a year if you fill out the survey. So anyways, it's just an idea to think about for later. We can't discuss it since it's not put on the agenda, but just something to think about for future agenda items. So
Thanks, Councilmember. Are there any other reports from the committee? Sorry, was someone speaking?
Vice
Oh.
Chair.
I have a
One more.
comment. We were going to have some statistics on how we did with the campaign, right, for Super Bowl campaign. I don't know, were we able to get any statistics on that? How our promotion helped?
Not yet. Some of that data is not really available yet, but that's something I do plan on bringing to the committee when we get the data.
Yeah, as part of a staff future report. Yes, no worries. All right. Hearing sort of no more. Let's go ahead and move towards what do we have here? Is this future agenda setting? So if anyone would like to suggest items for the future agenda, please propose them.
I think we may need,
Jen?
sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
please go ahead,
Go ahead.
Councilmember.
I think we may need something for a 4th of July kind of committee. I don't know what you think, Daniel. So at some point to actually get stuff activated for that. There seems to be some extensive plans for 4th of July, a little bit more than last year. And just so people know, we are probably the only city left with fireworks in the near area. So it's going to be fun.
Can I comment on that, Councilmember Wong? To be honest with you, with FIFA starting June 12th all the way to July 2nd, it's gonna be so good this year for Cupertino that we definitely need to agendize this and make sure that it's actually happening. We have a lot to celebrate here in Cupertino.
Yep. Let's go ahead and sort of make a note of that for the future agenda. Any other proposals from the committee?
Oh, can we get a second for the future agenda
Oh,
item?
sorry, I apologize. Thank you so much. Please, could someone second that?
I'll second.
Let's call for vote as needed.
Oh, we don't need a vote. We only need a second
Perfect.
vote.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I'm getting, it's not as late as it is for me for a council member, but it's getting there. All right, any other agenda topics, please, from the committee? Okay,
More
please.
extra meeting or special meeting for FIFA.
So we have an upcoming meeting April 30th next month.
That is the special one for FIFA.
That's our regular meeting. We will bring FIFA to that
Perfect.
meeting. And if there needs to be a special meeting after that, we can do that before the next regular meeting.
Thank you.
Hearing, we good? I can't see arms again. So hearing no further business, the special meeting of the Economic Development Committee is adjourned at 3:42.